Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Inshallah, we continue with lesson number 19. In the last lesson, we focused on complete compounds where two nouns, and the discussion is when two nouns come together, how do we understand the relationship of those two nouns to one another and what type of a sentence or a phrase do they give us? So the complete compound was the nominal sentence we talked about and what to look for in the nouns, what conditions to look for, what states they're in, either marfu, majroor, mansoob, sort of, to understand what the sentence actually constructs or becomes as, right, in terms of what type of meaning it's going to give us. So now let's carry on in our discussion on the incomplete compound. So focus is incomplete compound, and we talked about three types of those. One was adjectives, the other was numbers. Numbers will come to a bit later. I want to give you initially the rules that will give you maximum benefit in the Quran. So something that is more commonly used will be discussed first. So right now, adjectives and the possessive is going to be of more benefit to us in the short term, and then inshallah eventually as part of completion of our learning, we will of course at some point cover numbers as well. And then, so in possessive, in today's lesson is focused on taking one of those three, which is possessive case, also known as Idhafa in the Arabic language, as a technical term for this construction. In the English language, it's called, in the various books of grammar dealing with the Arabic grammar in English, you would find the construct comes in annexation or genetive of possession. Now, let's get into an example because that's the best way to understand the subject. But prior to that, let's take a note here. What is the purpose of Idhafa? It shows possession, right? Of one thing by another. Okay, so it's basically a relationship that shows possession of one by the other. And now let's look at an example. A common example that will help us even in the Quran is Kitabullahi. The meaning is the book of Allah. Now, we know Kitab is a noun. We know that through our previous lessons. We know Allah is a noun. Let's look at this noun in its natural, uninfluenced condition, both of these nouns. So you'll have Kitabun and you have Allahu. If we were to bring these nouns, in their natural, nominal, marfu state, they would be as you have them here on the right in the orange text. Kitabun Allahu. Now, if those two nouns come together like that, in Arabic, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't signify any relationship. Those endings don't really give us anything. So, now, the pattern that you see now here is what is of importance. So what happens, these two nouns coming on the right as Kitabun and Allahu doesn't really give any meaning as a relationship between them. They're just two nouns. It's like you saying, for instance, you can bring anything like that where in a book and Allah, right? Book, Allah. What does it mean? It really means nothing. A book, Allah. There's no relationship. So there's just two nouns coming randomly. But in the Idhafa condition, how these nouns shape up, how their endings shape up, is what defines that relationship of Idhafa or that possession. So let's look at that. Kitabun and Allahu now becomes Kitabullahi. So Kitabullahi is, notice how the tanween is dropped, right? There is no tanween on this first part. Secondly, Allah, look at what has happened here. Allah is no longer in the, this is uninfluenced condition. This is uninfluenced condition, right? Here, kitab, it maintains the dhamma, so still uninfluenced. And let's use marfu here to be precise. Slowly and gradually, I'm going to go into the conditions that we typically use in Arabic, from influenced and uninfluenced to actual precise terminology used. So uninfluenced, and Allah is, we know, looks to be in influenced condition. Let's unpack this further. Allah is a definite noun. Okay, kitabun, it's kind of looking in between. It doesn't have the alif lam in the beginning, which was telling us there's a definite, and that's where the single dhamma was coming. So it doesn't have the alif lam, but it's actually dropping the tanween, which was one of the aspects of the definite noun. So it's not an indefinite noun anymore. Here it was indefinite on the left here. On the right, sorry, indefinite. But now coming to kitab here, it becomes sort of a definite. And now why that becomes definite is because it's attached to a definite noun. So in this phrase, in this phrase of Idhafa, when the first noun is attached to a second noun which is definite, then it will give the meaning of definite. But the tanween will never be on the first part of this noun. And more, I'll summarize these rules a bit later, maybe in the next lesson, but let's just make observations about this word right now. So kitab drops the tanween. Allah is going to now in an influenced state, and what is the state that we know of at is majroor. Okay, if you go back to your notes, it's majroor, and it's represented by a kasra or a zair. Okay, and kitab is in marfu state, uninfluenced marfu state, and that's coming through what? It's through the dhamma that we know. So we know the first part is marfu, we know the second part is majroor. That's another aspect of this this construction. Now let's look at some more terminology. The first part is called mudaf. Okay, that's in Arabic grammar, that's what the first word is called. The second word is called mudafun ilay. So that's again some technical terminology for us to understand, inshallah. So I'm gonna leave this one here for you to think about what happened, what type of construction is Idhafa, how the ending, and focus is always the ending. The ending tells you a lot about the relationship of the words, the condition or the state of the word, and then what that relationship means. So always remember that the second part of this construction will always be majroor, the second noun, and the first part can be, now in this case it's coming as a phrase, nothing is influencing kitab. There's nothing here that is influencing it. If there was something else before it that could influence kitab, then kitab will take that condition. But right now, nothing is influencing it, therefore it's in its marfu state. And the second part is in majroor state. That's the construction. And we'll see more examples of that, inshallah. And the word, the book, is, remember, its association to a definite noun, which is Allah, gives the association, give the meaning of the. And also this of in the translation is due to Idhafa construction. So because of these various transformations from this nominative case of these two nouns, you get this relationship construction of Idhafa, and the of is inserted in the translation. So the book of Allah. Another example I will give you is Rahmatullahi. Again, you know the meaning of Rahmah. It's mercy. Right? And this is Allah. So the translation will become the mercy of Allah. And this of is due to this transformations that you see and the construction of Idhafa. Okay? Inshallah, absorb this. Again, as I always say, become observant in the Quran. You'll find other examples. One of them is Baytullahi, the house of Allah, and so on and so forth. Inshallah, this is opening more doors for you. Start, keep remembering myself in dua, inshallah, and continue your practice until next lesson, where I will come up with more examples and I'll summarize the rules for you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.